Thank you for staying tuned to our early exchange this morning on SOUQ News TV. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And it's time for some people to jet out from wherever they've been working or doing business to go somewhere and relax, just cool off the stress of the week, re-strategize, revitalize for the incoming week. Now, talking about jetting out, you would need something if you are to travel from one country to another, basically, except for some countries where you do not need an international passport to move from one country to another. But if you are to travel from Nigeria, for instance, to the UK, of course, you would need an international passport. Talking about international passport, the new e-passport. Yes. If you are to apply for a Nigerian passport and you want the 32-page international passport with 5-year validity, currently the fee you'll be charged to pay by the Nigerian Immigration Service would be 35,000 naira. And if you are to apply for the 64-page booklets with 10 years validity, you'll be charged 70,000 naira. But hold a bit. That's if you've applied already or you intend to do that before 1st of September, because the federal government has approved an upward review for passport fees. So that means that beginning from September 1, 2024, if you were to apply for the 32-page passport booklet with 5-year validity, you'll be charged 50,000 naira. And if you need the 64 pages booklets, you will be paying 100,000 naira. But this change in fee does not apply abroad. It only applies in Nigeria. And the reason the NIS is given that it is to maintain the standard and integrity of their Nigerian passport. What are the thoughts of Nigerians regarding this? Are there people who are saying, hey, 35,000 naira is a lot of money already, why make it 50,000 naira? Or 70,000 naira is much, why make it 100,000 naira? Well, this morning, a colleague from SOUQ News TV Abuja, Joy Sonye, will be joining in virtually. She's a concerned Nigerian. She's also a traveler. She holds the Nigerian passport, and so she will be commenting on this new development. Hello, Joy. Good morning. Thank you for joining in.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be part of this discussion.
All right, Joe. I need to ask, do you currently have your Nigerian passport or you've had to apply for a reissue? So let's know if you're free from paying that 50,000 naira or these 100,000 naira new passport fees starting from September 1.
I had to renew my passport as if I knew this was going to happen. So I do have an active passport at the moment. For the next 10 years, I will not have to go pay the 100,000 naira. So I'm excited.
Right, let's
Can you
look
hear
at
me? Are
this
you there?
situation. Not everyone is lucky enough to have actually applied for your international passport before this new development. Even if, for those of us who already have a passport, even if you'd applied, in the next 5 years, if yours expires, or in the next 10 years, you still need to pay the new fee. So, what's your thoughts generally on this upward review in a time where economic situation is biting hard on Nigerians and people complaining the price of goods and services have increased? Now it's got into the fee charged for international passports.
I would say hold on this policy, on this increment, because we are at a time when Nigerians are facing harrowing economic experiences and challenges. And it seems before he came into power, it was clear that some of his critics, and that's talking about the president now, some of his critics had been hammering on the fact that he is all about taxes. Now, this isn't new, and all over the world, taxes are ways governments can mop up funds. However, not when you are backing it up with some of the policies he has, which has brought about these attendant economic challenges. I would say it's coming at a very bad time. The noble reason for this, which is ensuring the standard and integrity of the Nigerian passport. Of course, there's nobody who would want our passports to be less, to show less. That is the identity of the nation. However, I would say hold on it for now. You have promised several initiatives and programs that have not seen the light of day. It seems like when it comes to increment, upward reviews of taxes, some just like this, of policies like this, we see it being right. What happened to this the state of emergency on agriculture? The nano businesses that were supposed to be energized, there were several, and we're not seeing that. So each time a citizen has to interact with government, it seems it's you have to pay so much. Bear in mind, however, that this does not affect a lot of Nigerians. We're over 200 million. As much as we keep talking about JAPA, how many people do have the opportunity to travel? It does not affect the price of commodities in the market for an average Nigerian, but it affects the perception and trust Nigerians are having for this administration. So, yes, that's what I think. I think it's really insensitive at this time where Nigerians are complaining they are hungry, this time when Nigerians are complaining that we do not have employment.
All right, you just touched on a point that it doesn't affect the generality of Nigerians because not everyone can afford the cost of relocating or immigrating from Nigeria. But do you also realize that the international passport serves as a means of identification too? Some holders of the international passport have it because they use it as a means of identification.
Of course, I'm not undermining that fact. However, how many means of identification do Nigerians need? I mean, I have the voters card. I have the BVN. I have the NIN. I have several. One that isn't necessarily harmonized. I listened to the Ministry of Youth come up with yet another initiative, one that will now bring about their words Nigerian youth together. Now you have to register once again, and you will have some sort of code and all that. That has been what Nigerians are having to face every day. So yes, while it is a means of identification, and if it is that important for the government to have this as a means of identification for their citizens, that's beyond the national identification, why then increase it to make it even more difficult for Nigerians? And this we're at a time when a lot of opportunities are all over the world. I'm not talking about the exodus of our young people, but I'm talking people who have services and products to go showcase all over the world. How are you encouraging that aspect of your economy? We have several young people these days. I had to talk to a young person lately, a cousin of mine actually, who has to travel all the way to the UK because he has to give a talk. And this is somebody who just has to give a talk, is going to be paid for it. It's inadvertently a way of showcasing Nigeria, a way of selling what we've got. And believe me, girl, we have a lot. We have so much to sell. We have talent that we can exchange with the world. So how are you stifling these activities? And it's at a time when we need more of these economic activities to boost our GDP. If we are talking about foreign direct investment and pushing, it doesn't have to be the president all the time that travels abroad to go attract investment to the country. I think we too have a role to play. And if you make traveling a big deal and not a seamless activity, I don't think that's a good idea. And we're at a very volatile. I mean, I hate to say that, but we are at a time when Nigerians need to be brought together and not to be felt, to feel rather that they are constantly being pushed to pay more, constantly being hard on by the president. We need a president who would, at this point, bring us together, tell us that it is for your own good, and show that indeed it is for your own good. So yes, when I think about it, I would say please hold on this policy. Don't look insensitive. We need to travel, and if you make business environment attractive for us, I mean Nigerians, you wouldn't be afraid because if you follow the conversation of social media, you hear a lot of young people say, whether you increase it to a 1 million naira, we shall jackpot. That's not the narrative a president or an administration should be proud to push.
All right, we'll come to the ability of Nigerians to pay the new rate. But let's look at this. So, the reason that the NIS is given is that it is to uphold the standard and integrity of the Nigerian passport. If you are paying more for a service rendered or for a product, the expectation of the consumers or customers is that in terms of the quality of that service, it should improve. Delivery time should be part of the quality of that service. What's the duration now for a Nigerian to obtain the Nigerian passport from the time you apply and the time you actually get the passport? How long does it take? With this new increase reflect in that?
You need to bear in mind that the justification for this increment is not necessarily to upscale or fasten how you get your passport. It's just talking about the integrity and standard of the booklet. And we should expect it. We're not saying that everything has not increased in the market. I'm sure government is also understanding that if it costs them, hypothetically speaking, 5,000 naira to increase your pass to produce a passport before, if you go back there to do that, it will be more. Inflation has affected not just the production of not just agriculture, but the production of everything. So yes, it's expected that we would see increments there. I would say if the government has to subsidize, just so that you don't get to do that at the moment, it should have done that. So we are going to expect, well, I'm not expecting that with this increment that it will be faster. I really must at this moment, applaud the initiatives that the Minister of Interior had brought into that sector.
All right, you're saying
Of that
that
was
the
called was
increase
clear.
in the fee charge has nothing to do with fast tracking the processing of international passport. But my question is this: should it
Yes.
not also impact the time that is needed to process? If the money paid is a reflection of the inflation rate, which means they would need more money to produce one international passport booklet, what about the time that it takes the company to produce it? Are this not factored into the cost if Nigerians are made to pay 50,000 naira instead of 35,000 naira, 100,000 naira instead of 70,000 naira, depending on the booklet that you're applying for? Should it not also be right that they get it on time as well?
Well, that's not what the press release said. It would be ambitious to expect that this would reflect in how fast your passport comes, and they have not promised you this is going to get it faster. However, you must commend the immigration services. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's not at all. Like I said, I got my passport a couple of weeks ago, and it took me about a week to get my passport. And no, I did not do the fast tracking that some people are forced to do, which the minister has made it unattractive. You can do this yourself. You can get the application process started yourself. So while Nigerians would expect that 70,000, we used to pay for a 35,000 naira 64 booklet. You will now say, okay, for fast track, add another 30. This isn't the fast track. This is just to ensure the integrity. I think what the ministry said, the Ministry of Interior, and by extension, the Immigration Service is trying to say is because of the inflation, we do not want to undermine or reduce the quality of of production, and so to maintain what we already maintain, the monies we've been paying is not enough. So that's just it. And Nigerians are expecting that, okay, this is how much I often pay for the passport anyway, but I get it faster. I would like to urge Nigerians that just read as it is. Let's not get rhetorical with this. It is what it is. This is for the integrity of the passport. We do not, the administration does not want to reduce the quality of the passport just so that you can get less quality.
All right, so now the date for the upward review to commence is 1st of September, which is just about a week from now. This is the 23rd of August. What do you foresee happening? A rush? People trying to beat the dates?
You're Nigerian. I mean, if I hadn't gotten my passport at the moment, I would have tried to get it now, and to some extent, it's a good thing. So what government often does, I mean, we saw it with the NIN, and so is you see a lot of people trying to get this passport right away just to beat the deadline of the 35,000 naira for 64 pages. So yes, I see a rush. I see a rush, and I would also see a lot of people that are going to be disappointed because now the system is overwhelmed, and the Minister of Interior had and the Immigration Service had promised that, oh, it's seamless, but they will now have Nigerians to deal with. Some who had forgotten they had a passport but want to beat that. Yes, I foresee a rush, but I would also have to say that a lot. I don't see this affecting a lot of Nigerians. I just that feeling of someday I'll get a passport, but why increase it? It's just what's happening now. A lot of Nigerians who probably didn't need it or who probably didn't think they should have it are now saying, but if I want to have it, I should have it seamlessly. And the Nigerian Immigration Service should be very ready for those who would want to beat that. I just hope they are ready. I just hope they will not be overwhelmed by the crowd. It's already bad enough as it is. I remember when the Minister of Interior had promised, and just with that statement, that he had cleared up a backlog of over 60,000, I think, in 2 weeks of passports that were pending. I remember how a lot of Nigerians went all out to just quickly get it. Now that the minister is new, now that he seems to have good intentions for this, let's quickly get it. So that's what we often do with a lot of these policies. Unfortunately, this isn't one that would affect much of Nigerians. I just hope it will not. What I am most concerned about at the moment is that it doesn't affect a lot of people who have legitimate businesses all over the world, legitimate businesses that would reflect somewhat back to the positive image of Nigeria. I hope it doesn't affect that group of people because it's hard enough as it is. Have you tried? It's not enough to have this visa. The airlines, the travel fare these days is so expensive. So if you include this again, sometimes you're like, you know what, it's not worth it. And it has a ripple effect on our image. If young people cannot go there and sell the country, in the textile industry, in the technological industry, in all facets of life, we have young people doing great things. And it's unfortunate if this will stifle their movement to attract this foreign direct investment that the president and his officials believe only they can do in terms of encouraging or coercing business partners across the world. The onus is on all of us and make travel easy.
But are you sure this is going to be a kind of hurdle on the parts of those who want to travel abroad, because if the Nigerian passport from September 1 will cost between 50 to 100,000 naira, depending on the booklet you're applying for, imagine how much it costs for applying for a visa. So averagely, a Nigerian would pay between 50 to, it ranges from 50 to $200 to apply for any visa to any part of the world. 50 US dollars. If you convert that to naira, obviously it's more than 50,000 naira. So if they can pay the visa fee, do you think that it matters with the international passport fee?
It's all about value. It's all about what I'm going out there to get. So yes, I can pay the visa fees if I'm getting value for why I'm traveling. But don't forget again, I'm talking about a certain chunk of Nigerians who inadvertently sell the country in good light, which is somewhat what the president has been trying to do in his own stance. You know, so yes, I can pay the visa fees very effortlessly for that country. If the country is making it that high and I cannot pay, they are lost because we are Nigerians. We have talent. We have so much energies to give. So they are lost if for any reason I am unable to travel. And believe me, a lot of people have had to um, shut down their travel plans because it's just too expensive. I mean, why go all the way when I can do what I can do for my country? But let's not have that opportunity. Let's not give that negative opportunity that will make anybody who has to travel from this country that is in harrowing, that's facing harrowing economic challenges, and not to travel is what I'm saying. Yes, you can pay the visa fees if it's worth it. If it's not worth it and you think it's too expensive, you let it be. But don't push for that.
All right, but this upward review doesn't affect those in the diaspora Nigerians who would need to have the international passports. It's the new upward review doesn't concern them. So, do you think it's because of the exchange rate that they are not affected?
That would be even more insensitive if you say the exchange rate, because if you are producing passport in certain parts of the country, I used to think it's uniform, but if you are producing it in certain parts of the country where the exchange rate, the government has made the exchange rate so good that you are now giving those ones some sort of leeway, it's even more insensitive to the Nigerians back here who made the exchange rate this high, who has been over the years so dependent on foreign currencies to get us to where we are, who has been pushing and depending on foreign enterprises and goods and services to bring us here. The average Nigerian will tell you that I am unable to afford this luxurious taste that our politicians have all of a sudden acquired. So that's even more insensitive. And I don't want us to toe that line and look there. I can understand why exchange rate can affect the production of the passport abroad and not. But I would like to push because I can be very developmental in my perspective. I want Nigerians to look at it as trying to attract our diaspora people back into the country to do business. I know it's not a very conventional way of looking at it, but yeah, that is what I would say that Nigeria is trying to, attract, bring them back into the country, let them come with the expertise that they have acquired over the years to ensure they can contribute to our society. Maybe it's a subtle way of trying to get them back. I would rather look at it like that because if I look at it as and not making it uniform price for everyone or this upward review, 40% is a lot, is a lot. I don't think even if you had to increase uh, to be sensitive, it had to be as much as 40%. So yes, I would like to take another look at it or another angle to it.
Very weak
However,
on
childish and naive.
attracting business to Nigeria, bringing our brothers and sisters in the diaspora to invest in Nigeria, and also Nigeria being a destination for foreign direct investment. Now, aside the traveling process, making it easy for investors and even Nigerians in diaspora to return to Nigeria, to come to Nigeria, what other things do you think should be in place to facilitate this?
I once had a conversation with an expatriate who said it is so tough getting into Nigeria, and that's compared to other African countries. So yes, make it seamless for everyone. No, it doesn't have to be just the Nigerians. Excuse me. So yes, make it seamless for everyone. Ensure that anyone coming in would not have to go through bottlenecks that are absolutely not necessary, as we often find. I've had conversations with people who say, seems like we're pushing one narrative. Oh, please come do business here. Let us be the investment destination for your business. Meanwhile, you're not making the business environment conducive enough for anybody to come do business. And if I'm a businessman, I want to make profit. So make it seamless. Somebody should be able to, I'm not saying make it seamless, then relinquish your need for security vetting, but I think it can go simultaneously. It's not rocket science. So make it seamless for anyone who's coming into the country. And I like to think that is the reason why it is not particularly increased for the diasporans or across the world, but just Nigeria.
Before we went on the break, we're looking at some of the factors that have led to the upward review of the fee charge for international passports. One main reason has been given by the Nigerian Immigration Service, and that is to maintain the standard, the quality, and integrity of the international passport. We've also looked at the concerns of Nigerians and how this will impact Nigerians applying for the Nigerian passport. But let's look at what the Nigerian Immigration Service have done so far to improve the process of obtaining an international passport in Nigeria. Prior to this time, the passports were produced outside of Nigeria, but now it's been domesticated. What's your thought in that? Do you think if that had not been done, it would have led to a higher fee charged for the production of passports?
Like we had established earlier, the most important is let's not have papers that Nigerians would still complain. Imagine for a moment that you go get your passport and the papers are not hard copy, for instance, just because we want to maintain that same price and still have the price, and still get the passport, we would still complain. So I do, like I said, I do understand the need to ensure that the integrity and standard of our passports will not decrease. That goes without saying that everything has increased. It's only natural that the passport would also increase. So yes, I do understand the justification for it. However, I would like to say that if we don't, even if subsidy, the petroleum subsidy had to be removed because of like president has said, the corruption that was shrouded on. We could do something. There are little ways where people can feel governance, feel the dividends of democracy, and this is one of those ways. I know Nigerians would once again show distrust, but we need to always try. Our leaders need to always try to ensure Nigerians feel dividends of democracy. The justification would always be there to have
All right.
improvement. But
But the
at
question
any time,
is,
Nigerians have to
if the NIS
face
could
or touch
domesticate
government,
the
okay?
production of the Nigerian passport, and that was an MOU signed by the company in charge of producing the Nigerian passport with the Nigeria Security and Printing industry. So if that's agreement, that MOU could be signed, and the NIS could ensure that rather than produce prints Nigerian passports abroad, which if that had continued, and my guess is that would have led to an even higher fee than the 50,000, 100,000 now charge for passport. So if they could do that, what do you think too about the Nigerian currency? Because the minting and printing of that is still done outside of Nigeria, increasing the cost of printing the naira. What are your thoughts on this? Should the Central Bank of Nigeria take a leaf from that, or do you find it a risky venture?
Mhm. That's another very dicey topic. I know Nigerians have often criticized government for how much it takes to even mint out this. But I think local content at all times. I think we have indigenous solutions to the problems we have. And I know we are intelligent people and very skilled people. So look locally at all times. There would never come a time I would suggest that we outsource internationally for stuff we can do back home. We have resources to do this. We have the capacity to do this. Maybe even better than anybody. But then again, who sets the standard for this? So let's not get very neo-colonized in our conversation in this. I know how inflation has beaten on every aspect of our lives, and I can understand how it could get attractive to produce or mint these things abroad. But I would always say, let's think local content at all times. Let's look at ways we can get source for resources and get talent back here in the country.
All right, so in that aspect, we say kudos to the NIS for having that MOU come through between Iris Smart Technology Limited, an indigenous company, and the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC. So let's see how far that will go. All right, now to the passport issue. So before now, it took a longer time. We had a lot of middlemen coming in to fast track, which you mentioned earlier, the payment for fast track. I want to ask, is that legal? Does the immigration service have a service like fast tracking your passport application process so it takes less time than what you would normally get if you don't do that?
Accuse you of living in a bubble, but I don't think it's an official. I don't think it's an official fast tracking process that is ingrained in the Nigerian Immigration Service. I think it is, like we always say, dynamic ways Nigerians within that industry, or rather within the Nigerian Immigration Service, have figured out ways to enrich themselves. Something we always do everywhere we find ourselves. We try. We look around for ways we can beat the system. And this is a typical example, this fast tracking process that we often have. However, with the Minister of Interior, Dr. Tunjojo, coming to make the system more transparent by getting or by ensuring the online process works. I mean, I was called upon to go capture. I did not believe it. It was very seamless. I was called upon. I got there. But for a couple of people who had to go before me, and it's all over the world, Nigerians must know, it's all over the world. It's not always a seamless activity. So yes, but for a couple of people who had to go before me, I was given a certain time for capturing, and believe I was about 15 minutes later than that. I got captured, and a couple of days, about 4 days after I was captured, I got my card. So the minister has done a wonderful work trying to make do do away with this fast tracking. He has also threatened the snail who indulge in fast tracking. He even opened, I think there's a complaint number. If you go on their site, you can always complain, and it's all about body language. All he had to do was say, don't do this any longer. I've also had, like the journalist in me did not let it go. This seemed to be this whole seamless process seemed to be in places like Abuja, and somebody said Lagos as well. But we should be wary of other states where capturing and passport processes is done. So I would just advise that more is done to ensure that In other parts of the country, there is that stiff policy implementation in such places. It's not. I don't think it's part of the immigration service to fast track. However, it has helped a lot of people. I must say, there have been cases where your passport has been for so long, been taking so much time, pending and pending. But a lot of people would say, don't take it completely out. You should maybe infuse it into the system. There are people who would not mind paying a little more, so that, I mean, if you go to your hospital right now, you can see that if you want to see a senior consultant, you pay more. And if you want to see a regular doctor, you pay a certain amount. So I think it should be infused, because there are individuals who need their passport, who have reasons to get their passport really fast, and those people should be captured. However, it's tough. No personnel right now wants to indulge because it doesn't know who he's talking to, and they're being very careful at the moment.
All right. If personnel normally would not want to indulge because there is higher scrutiny at the moment, let's look at the conditions that could even make them indulge. How easy is it for Nigerians to just go to the NIS portal and apply, make an appointment for capturing or apply for the international passport by themselves, submit every necessary document by themselves, and then go over to the nearest passport office for capturing? Is it a seamless process for
It's
Nigerians,
seamless.
or most
Oh
people will still
yes,
need
it's
the
seamless.
assistance of an official, which creates the room for the middleman thing? What's the experience like?
Okay, now you're bringing me to the fact that Nigeria is semi-literate country. So I can understand how some people may need assistance. However, if you can read and write, it's seamless. And especially if you have your NIN stick, it is completely seamless. You can just go there. But these are individuals who, in spite of this illiteracy we talk about, are active on Facebook, are active on several social media platforms. But when it comes to something that is important, they don't trust themselves enough to do it themselves. But this is where the world has gotten to, and we really must catch up there. It is completely seamless, I must tell you. You just get on the portal, you upload your NIN, and then the passport must have it has needs is certain. I think it's IC. I can't remember the acronym for it now. But as long as you go to a professional passport photographer and you tell them you want passport standard, they give you the passport standard, and you take your passport, you upload it online, you get a date to come capture, you get a message to come receive your passport. It's very seamless, and that is why it's difficult for me to say this without applauding and commending the Minister of Interior for just putting this effort down. So yes, it's completely seamless, and Nigerians should find ways to do these things themselves. When they have to leave the country for other to leave the country, and they find ways to do it themselves. I mean, if you can't read,
All right,
I'm
thank
sure
you
you have
so
somebody
much,
in your
Joy
household
Asunye,
or neighbor
for
who can,
your
right?
brilliant submissions on the issue. Yes, you've established that, well, Nigerians may be able to afford the new fee charge for international passports, and you've also said that it doesn't affect the generality of Nigerians, though there are many Nigerians applying for the international passport on a daily, because when you pay visits to any office, any passport office, you would find a crowd there. So that means that more people come up every day needing the international passport. Well, we do not sense any uproar about this. If the Immigration Services is to improve the standard or to keep the standard and maintain integrity, then we hope that we get to see that. Thank you for your time with us on Early Exchange. Joy Sunye from SOUQ News TV, Abuja.
It was wonderful to have this opportunity to also explain and analyze what's going on. So hi, thanks, Femi, by the way. It's wonderful and you're looking beautiful.
Very fine. It's at the moment making breakfast for me because this is thank God it's
Oh,
Friday edition. So we can't both be here while I'm
right.
doing the talking. Somebody has to do the cooking. You understand?
Wow, well done, well done.
I'm joking, Joe. Many thanks for being here, and warm regards to the other staff at SOUQ News TV Abuja.
Early exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.